Welcome back, and thank you for joining me today. I am sharing all of our curriculum choices for the 2023-2024 school year for my second grader. We are changing things up a little bit, and now that he's in second grade, he is starting what I consider big kid school. So we have added some new things, and I'm excited to share those with you today. So thanks again for being here. My name is Rhiannon. I am not the cool mom, and I gave myself that name a few years ago when I started getting on Instagram and other things like that, quite simply because our family has always decided that we wanted to do things a little bit different than what is typically accepted in society. We do live in Georgia, so we are down south, and we are still making sure that we are raising our boys to be masculine men. We are raising them to open the doors for ladies, to say yes ma'am and no sir, and to be godly leaders of their homes once they grow up, get married, have children. We want them to be the patriarchs of their homes. And that's just something that has always been important to us. No matter where our journey has been, those are the values that we have just always tried to instill in our two sons. So, like I shared in my high school video, I was a public school teacher for 17 years. I have taught in grades K through 5, both in a regular ed setting and then also in a special ed setting. I do have a master's degree with a concentration in multiple and severe disabilities. And so that was just always my forte. I never envisioned myself as being a mom that would stay home and homeschool. But after having my second son, I just felt that pull on my heart. And so right before COVID hit, actually December 2019, we decided as a family that that would be my last year of teaching and that I would stay home and homeschool my boys. And then COVID happened, and it was one of those moments where I could say, okay, God, I see what you did there. And so we have been homeschooling since the fall of 2020. My youngest son was in pre-K at that time. He has a late birthday, so he misses the state kindergarten cutoff by just a few days. So we did pre-K stuff, we did kindergarten stuff, and a lot of that stuff you don't need a curriculum for. I knew enough about teaching, I knew enough about letters. I mean, it was letters, it was numbers, it was basic sounds, it was things like that. And those were really easy things for me, especially when he was in pre-K and kindergarten, because I was very familiar with that. As he moved into first grade, however, I did find myself looking for curriculums in certain areas because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. Phonics is a really important part of reading, and I will die on the hill of every child should be taught phonics. Sight words are not enough to make a very strong reader. And so in order to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, I did start with some curriculums. So the first curriculum that I'm going to tell you about is the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. This is their level 2 phonics curriculum. We have been using this since late kindergarten. After I had gotten through everything that I knew to teach him for kindergarten phonetically, and then also what the state standards say. I was even accessing those, even though I don't really agree with them, but I was looking for frameworks to make sure that I was covering everything. I then moved into the Good and the Beautiful curriculum for language arts. I am not only incredibly impressed with this curriculum, it has taught him to be such an excellent reader. In fact, today we just completed some benchmark testing for him, and I do that just so I can make sure that we're moving forward and kind of staying on track with where he needs to be. And so I was really excited. Today, according to his online benchmark testing, he would have tested as an end of second grade level according to the state standards for reading. So he's a year ahead. And I will tell you, we read a lot of books, we do a lot of picture books, we do a lot of that stuff, but I also know that his success really has come from this curriculum. Now, the original language arts curriculum we found that we used in kindergarten, it was a little tedious and he really didn't like it. They have since revamped their curriculum. So if it's been more than a year, 2 years since you've used The Good and the Beautiful and you didn't like it before, I really suggest that you go back, try it again. Another thing I love about their curriculum is you can buy it completely spiral bound, ready to go, or you can print it for free online. The spiral bound books run generally like $25 to $30. For me, it's cheaper just to buy the book than it is to print it. What I would have to pay to print it would cost me basically about the same thing. Plus I would have to go to the printers, get it in a binder, all that kind of stuff. So for me, it is just cheaper just to purchase this. However, it is well worth the money to purchase this. When he was doing the kindergarten and first grade curriculums, we did purchase the extra little reader books that go along with it. Those to me were very important for those 2 early years. Now that he is a strong reader, we did not purchase those extra things. They have booster cards, which are like a phonics review, just like certain sounds and things like that. And then they also have little books that go along with it. We did not purchase those this year because he is reading very well. And so I decided that instead of that additional expense, I would instead just work more with him on any leveled books, like those step into reading books, those ones that you can get, and also just picture books in general. So I'm just supplementing this curriculum with books from the library. He's very interested in reading novels right now. It's a big deal for him because Big Brother reads chapter books. So we have been working through Harry Potter. We are going to start the Boxcar Children. We have read Poppy and Ragweed by Avi. Those are great books for like early novels for your kids to get into. He's done all the Dogman and Cat Kid books. Those are graphic novels. I don't love them, but he's reading and that's what I care about. So you do not have to purchase every single aspect of this curriculum for it to be effective. That just as a money-saving tip, I guess. The other aspect of language arts that we are doing this year, and this is new for us, is we are starting an actual writing curriculum. Good and the Beautiful does not have a strong writing component in it. And so for the past few years, writing has not been something that we really pushed or even truly focused on for a variety of reasons. Developmentally, kids really should not be doing rigorous amounts of writing until the end of first, maybe even early second grade. When we look at their bone structure, their fine motor skills, hand strength, things like that. And in my career, I've worked with quite a number of OTs who have backed me up on this. Kids really should not be focusing on writing in kindergarten and first grade. And so unfortunately, that is pushed in the school system, whereas at home, we don't have to do that. What you should really be looking for are more like coloring, hand strengthening skills like Play-Doh and clay, scissor cutting, snipping paper, tearing, doing all of these little movement things, beads. We like to play a game with like Cheerios and a barbecue skewer where you see how many Cheerios you can pick up, things like that. You're looking at fine motor strengthening activities and looking also at improving their dexterity. Coloring in general is going to teach them hand formation. And really how we should be holding a pencil grip, things like that. Handwriting is not a necessity, especially in kindergarten. We waited until probably first grade, like middle of first grade, before we really started looking at doing like handwriting practice every day. But even then, it was very minimal. It was a few lines, couple letters, or he would dictate a story to me and, I would have him copy it just like one line at a time. We did not do a whole lot of handwriting. And so also kind of just along that lines, a lot of what we did in kindergarten and first grade with writing was more oral dictation. I would read a story. Could he tell it back to me? Or could he tell me a story that I would write down, and he, could either trace or copy or whatever. We didn't really stress about writing a whole lot. And so now that he is in second grade, we are going to start with some of those writing foundations. And I have used IEW, their writing curriculum, for my oldest son. We've used it for quite a few years. It is very thorough. It covers everything. This is my first year of using it for little kids. So the Bible Heroes option is one of their options for younger students. They also had a community helpers option, but we've done community helpers for kindergarten. Like, how many times can you talk about it? So I decided to go for this one. And in it, they are lessons that are outlined for generally a week. And they are starting kids early with their structure of how they have you work on making an outline and then turning that into a story. They still use oral narration, which I love. After the kids make their outline, they actually verbally use their outline to tell you the story back. So we're still doing a lot of that oral narration type work. But as we go in through the lessons, then he'll actually start to write some of those down instead of just verbally telling me them. Their lessons are generally spread out over the course of a week. I will probably be using them more as a 2-week turnaround. It sort of varies with the lesson. When I make my lesson plans, I make them for the month, and we usually stick with these. So I kind of have an idea as I go through and I'm planning for the following month. Is this a longer lesson that is going to take more time? Or is this a lesson that we could knock out in a week? And I'm just gonna kind of let it vary as it needs to. I will also say he does not like to write, and that's sort of a boy thing. And so if you are a mom of boys and these lessons seem really long to you, do them over the course of 2 weeks. There's no timeline. Like, if this needs to take us 2 years to get through, I'm fine with it because we're still learning skills. I don't think we're going to be behind. I've seen some pretty bad writers as adults, and I can tell you this alone is going to teach us what we need to know. The next thing I have is for math. We are, of course, using The Good and the Beautiful for math. We have used this since last year. We didn't use their kindergarten curriculum, I don't believe, because it was pretty simple. We did, numbers, shapes, colors, stacking, counting, things like that. So I know we used this last year. We may have used their kindergarten curriculum. I don't remember, honestly. But again, you can purchase this free online. Okay, that was stupid. You don't purchase things that are free. So let's try that again. You can get this free online. You can print it free online, or you can purchase the book. Again, for me, purchasing the book is just an easier option, especially like how colorful everything is. It's just really nice. And this has been an excellent curriculum. It does have a review with every lesson, so there is a little bit, it does have a cyclical nature. Their reviews are not always truly comprehensive. I have found a few holes when it comes to time and money a little bit. And so we actually started this last March, maybe March. I think we started this March because the way we do things in our homeschool, especially with things like phonics and math, if you finish a curriculum and it's like the middle of the year, then we just go ahead and we start the next level. So he finished level 1 in January or February, probably February, and then I just went ahead and purchased this, and we started level 2 in March. So technically he was starting second grade math early. However, that's not anything I care about. I just care, are we moving forward with what we're learning. I'm not going to take a 6-month break in math so that we just stay like on a timeline. That's not important to me. So we started this. He got through the first unit, and then in their unit review, like their little assessment that they do, he was struggling with time and money. So we stopped for the summer. And in June and July, we simply just reviewed time and money. We did not do any more of this book. There was no need for us to move forward if he was struggling with a concept. Over the summer, time and money clicked. We are fine. So we are starting back on this next week, actually. We kind of ease into our school year. Again, the only thing that I would say that I really do recommend if you get this curriculum is they have a math box that goes with each level. And it is one of those things where I would recommend get the math box. It is worth the money. It's nice to have all the pieces that you need for each of the lesson. They do offer a way to kind of make your own math box. And I did that the first year, but I have found that just purchasing the math box actually is just a lot simpler, and the pieces all match and they're really cute, and it comes in its own little container, and it's definitely worth the money. Whereas like you may not need the extra stuff for the phonics curriculum, the extra stuff for the math curriculum really is worth the money. So one new thing this year that we are doing is we are actually going to start using a science curriculum. The last few years, I have not stuck with a particular curriculum. What I did instead is did units of study. And so in kindergarten, we looked at plants and animals. We did some space. We did rocks and minerals, the water cycle, things like that. Last year, he wanted to learn about different animals. And so we chose to do a year-long study on the different bugs, animals, and plants in Georgia. We did a Georgia unit study last year for our part of our history and the 50 states, things like that. So we did all the animals and, well, not all the animals, but various animals in Georgia. And we would do a month-long study on each one. We would read books. We would gather facts. He would learn how to draw them, and that was really fun for us. But my littlest guy, he is a science fanatic. He loves all things scientific. He loves plants. He loves animals. He just lights up at that kind of stuff. And so over the summer, he started getting interested in trying experiments. And so we've checked out books from the library. You know, we've made the volcanoes. We've done all those things. We even found a book at our local Gottwalls, and we purchased a book on experiments, and he was really excited about those. And so we are actually going to start doing a science curriculum. We are using the Apologia Young Explorers series, and this one is exploring creation through chemistry and physics. This book is going to take us 2 years to finish, and I'm telling you that for a few different reasons. First of all, Apologia by itself is a very intense curriculum. It's not a bad curriculum, but it is an intense curriculum, and while I appreciate that, it oftentimes puts a lot of stress on me because I feel like we should finish, we have to do this, we have to get it done. I'm very list oriented. I like to check things off. When I make lesson plans, we stick to them pretty hardcore. I need that just for me to focus and make sure that we don't fall behind and that I don't squirrel off with a project or whatever. I have an ADHD diagnosis. It is what it is, okay? We just learn how to deal with it. So in order for us to cover the material in this book, because each lesson is about 30 pages long, in order for us to cover the material in this book, we are actually going to try something new, and we are going to loop our history and our science this year. And I'll get into more of that in just a minute. So with this textbook, also you can purchase, they have a student notebook. And I really love how they have done this because they have a notebook for younger students, more K through 2, kids who maybe aren't writing a whole lot yet or who don't want to write. And the pages in those books have more of like where you would draw pictures as your note taking. Whereas in the older book, and I did choose to get the older book, this is recommended for grades 3 through 5. In the older book, there's more room for note taking. There is still room for pictures, and there are still some fun projects and things like vocabulary crosswords and stuff like that. But this one does have a little bit more writing in it. I did opt to get the older notebook. One, because we're not practicing handwriting this year. We're doing a writing curriculum. He's going to get enough handwriting practice through the subjects that we're doing. So if you don't feel like you can add handwriting in, don't add it in. Just do it in your other subjects. Like, condense it, make it work for you. But also, since I know that this curriculum is going to take us 2 years, we will do it this year, and then we will go into it next year as well. I felt that the older book was going to be more appropriate for him and just give us more longevity with a single purchase. So I will have to update you guys and let you know how this is going. So far, we have gone into it about 3 pages because over the summer when I was planning our curriculum, he saw these books and was like, oh my gosh, Mom, can we do that now? And we made it about 3 pages, and then he was like, all right, I want to go play outside. But I am interested to see how it goes this year, and so I will definitely have to update you guys later. So, back to looping. I have always been used to, you do every subject every day, and essentially you do less every day, but you do every subject every day. And if that's how you do it, that's how my oldest son does it. He does not like looping. He doesn't want to do looping. He likes a little bit of everything every single day. And since he's in 10th grade, I write his lesson plans the way that works best for him. I don't care how you do it. I just care that it gets done. However, since for my 2nd grader, I'm still really strongly facilitating things. He, of course, is not as independent as my high schooler. I decided that this year, instead of us trying to cram in science and history every single day, we were going to do a looping schedule. So what that means for us is for 1 month, we will focus on all of our ELA and math, and then we will also focus on science only. And we will delve into science. We will do all of the experiments. We will blow up all the things. We will take our time. We will read all the books, watch all the YouTube videos. We will focus on that. The following month, we will focus only on history. Now, that's not to say if he wants to do some science, I'm going to say, no, we can't do science this month. But that's going to be one of those, okay, when we're done with our must-dos, what's in our lesson plans, if you want to pull the science book out and you want to do a couple pages, totally fine. But during our month of history, we will only be focusing on history. So for history this year, we are actually going to mirror my high schooler's curriculum, and we are working on early civilization from creation through the resurrection. And I am not using a curriculum for my youngest because of something that I have learned over the past few years. And that is essentially, do not waste your money on a history curriculum, especially for elementary school children, okay? Instead of doing that, you're going to get this book right here, Home Learning Year by Year by Rebecca Rupp. This is the revised and updated edition. However, it is it's 3 years old, 4 years old. So I don't know, she may have even revised it again. I purchased this back in 2020, right as soon as you were finally allowed to leave your house again. And I will tell you, this book has been such a lifesaver, especially when it comes to history. History curriculums are inherently good. However, they are all repetitious. So when you learn about American history in elementary school, you learn the exact same American history in middle school with a few more details, but the exact same American history. And then you repeat it again in high school because you have to have it for a high school credit. So you essentially have done the exact same thing all 3 times, and there, like, nothing changes. History is historic. It is set in stone. It's happened already. So we're not changing it. So where I find that to be completely redundant is, first of all, it doesn't really count until high school, okay? All you need to do is, especially these elementary years, is give them the exposure to the knowledge. So with that being said, I don't waste my money on a history curriculum when I'm going to have to spend it again in high school. For example, 2 years ago, my oldest did American history. We used the Knotgrass curriculum. Love Knotgrass, very thorough. Definitely worth the money in high school. Absolutely learned a ton. And my youngest was in kindergarten, and I was just like, I'm not buying a curriculum for you. Like, I'm just not. So what I chose to do was I pulled from the Knotgrass high school book. I pulled all of the important figures that my oldest son was learning about, and we did biographies with my youngest. Picture book biographies are a wonderful way to teach younger kids, and older kids too, but younger kids, about the lives and times of past historical figures. And one of the things that I love about biographies is that they do double duty. You cannot learn about Abraham Lincoln without learning about the Civil War and slavery. You cannot learn about George Washington without learning something about the American Revolution. You cannot learn about Christopher Columbus without learning something about the discovery of America. And so we chose picture book biographies. That whole first year we did all the different American heroes and some not so nice people in American history also, because if we're being honest, history is not always beautiful. Telling us that you're erasing it doesn't get rid of it. It still happened. So we learn about the good and the bad, and we talk about how not to make those mistakes again. But we read biographies all year long. And to this day, my youngest son will still look at me and we'll be doing something and he'll pop off with, "Oh, Mom, that's just like when we read about that book of Sacagawea." And I'm like, what? Like, he still remembers that Sacagawea's son's name was Jean-Baptiste. I didn't remember that, and I went through all the years of history in public school my entire career. I went all the way through high school, graduated. I didn't remember that. Okay, that's awesome. So this is why I'm a huge proponent of do not buy a history curriculum, especially in elementary school. This year, because we are doing such a broad range of history from creation through the resurrection, we are focusing on a different time and geographical area during the months that we are doing history. So I'm going to find in my book, let me find it. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. For this year, hold on just a minute. I should have had this marked, and I'm really sorry. Oh, for the love of Christmas. Here we go. For this year, our first month is going to be prehistory through the beginnings of civilization. And the thing that I love about this book is she not only has almost every subject for every single grade level, kindergarten through 12th grade, listed out, but then she also gives you resources, books, movies, if there's like activity boxes like that KiwiCo or whatever, she gives you a variety of resources that you can use to teach that subject. So for prehistory, the beginnings of civilization, she has given a list of books. I found all but 2 of them in our library system. So I am waiting. A few are being shipped to me now. But you order them just a little bit early. Until we get those library books in, we have been watching YouTube videos and different educational things about prehistory and the beginning of civilizations. Basically, you're talking about the Stone Age. And then, like, she even recommends the movie Ice Age just as a fun activity, talking about, because it does have cavemen in it, and things like that. So then we're going to skip a month. We're going to do a month of science. And then our next cover will be Mesopotamia. Our next month that we cover will be Mesopotamia, talking about the Tigris and the Euphrates, and cuneiform writing, and the city of Ur, and Gilgamesh. She even has art projects in here that she recommends to do. Another month we're doing ancient Egypt. Another month we're doing ancient Greece. And then I believe our final month we are working through Rome. We're going to do a month on Rome. And essentially all I'm doing is I'm pulling all these books that she recommends. I'm also just searching on other websites, or using other things that I know about. For example, the Who Was chapter book series. They have one on Julius Caesar and King Tut, and so we're going to read those books during that month. But we are just going to cover each of those either geographical areas or time periods with great literature and with fun art projects. And honestly, if you don't like any of the projects that you have in this, that she has in this book, just get on Pinterest. Just get on, DuckDuckGo or whatever, and search projects for kids from ancient Greece or whatever. And I mean, you're going to find a ton of stuff, and your kids are going to remember this. Honestly, I truly believe that what we read with them, what we read to them, is going to last with them longer than anything they're going to learn through a curriculum. Curriculums really are more for us, okay? They're more for us to stay on track, to make sure that we're covering all the different nuances and some of those little tiny things that might slip through the cracks. But ultimately, reading to your kids, it's going to be the best thing ever. So again, this is not sponsored. I don't know her. If she wants to sponsor me, that'd be amazing. But this book is so helpful in a variety of areas. She even covers topics like PE, coding, art, music history, stuff like that. So I really recommend this book. It's just been a lifesaver as far as giving me at least a jumping off point of where to look for things, or things to look for. The final thing that we are trying this year, and we are also doing this in a looping format, is we are adding electives to his curriculum, or his school day, I guess. He sees that his older brother is doing Spanish. His older brother learned how to type. Our county gives the kids laptops when they're in public school. And so my youngest has wanted to learn Spanish and has also wanted to learn to type. And I think both of those are excellent things to do and to know, especially, technology is here to stay. We know that it's only getting more technological. And although typing may be a little old school, whereas, voice recognition and all that is trying to weasel its way in, I still think it is an excellent, it's an excellent skill to have. So for typing, we are using typing.com, completely free. You make an account, he signs in, he does a lesson a day, it gives him stars. I mean, I'm not putting a lot of stress on this. This is not graded. We actually don't even do grades in elementary school because that's ridiculous. This is not graded. It is just something for him to practice. And so this month he's doing typing because again, I'm not gonna put a lot of stress on this. My main concern when I think about a school day for both of my kids is reading, writing, and math. And if you make it through those things, I'm really excited about that, okay? Science and history, yes, necessary, requirements in high school, but when it comes down to it, reading, writing, and math are the basis for all subjects, no matter what they are. So those are always going to be my focus. Science and history are then my next focus, and then after that are elective type things. So he is using typing.com this month, and then next month he will switch over to Spanish. I was not ready to start him on an app or do anything like that. The Duolingo app that my high schooler uses does have some questionable scenarios from time to time that my high schooler understands and knows just to kind of ignore, and we just let it go. But I just didn't feel like I wanted to sit and listen to a Spanish lesson every time that my youngest decided to do it. So we are going to start with this book. It's a Carson DeLosa. I ordered it off of christianbook.com, and it is just an introduction to Spanish. It is essentially a giant coloring book, but also has some other worksheets like towards the back and things where like he would do vocabulary and things like that. And we're just going to work through this. Again, I am more focused on exposure for him than actual total mastery at this point. This is something that he has shown interest in, and so I want to support that because he'll be way more motivated to do it because he wants to do it than because I decided to. But this is not something that I am really putting a lot of stress on or anything like that. So I hope this video was helpful. I feel like I gave you a ton of information, and I'm sorry. Although we have not been homeschooling for very long, this is just our 3rd year, it is something that I have found I'm really passionate about. I think because I do love teaching, and whether it's my kids or someone else's kids, I really do love seeing them grow and get things and be excited that they know things. It is really cool when it's your own kids, and also because I feel like I have so much more control over what we're doing and what's important versus what we don't really need to worry about. That is something that, unfortunately, in the public school system, teachers have no choice about. We are just told what to teach, and we do the best we can. And so having that option of being able to actually choose and really be the voice of what happens in our homeschool has been really freeing. And I would say if you're nervous, it's okay to be nervous. But the nice thing is, especially with little ones, like, you've got time. You have time to work through any of the kinks. This being our 3rd year, I finally feel like we have kind of figured out what our rhythm is. I have figured out more of what's important to me as far as what I want to focus on. And that has given me the confidence to change things up, to try a new schedule, to try a curriculum or something like that. And so it has been really freeing for me to say, oh no, wait, what I do does make a difference. And if it doesn't go the way I thought it was going to go, then I can just, pull back, punt. We can even stop a curriculum in the middle of the year and not use it anymore if we don't want to. I have a hard time doing that. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I'm too type A for that. We like to finish things, but if you can do that, good for you. So I say all of this to say, these are our choices. I have some great things. These are things that I've picked out that I love. But if that's not where you decide to go, that's totally fine. These are suggestions. I am not an expert in this area by any means. I'm just a mom who is having fun learning with her kids. And that has been a new experience for me. And it's one that I hope that you really have too.